Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, and I am delighted this evening, because it is evening with myself and actually with my guests, delighted to be joined by Sheela Hagan and Stef Allegrini. Hello, Sheela and Stef. Our topic is Be bold, be beautiful, be you. The power of connection. Now, I'm going to come to you, Stef, first, because actually that's where you're situated with the order I can see us in. Stef, share a little of your story, a little about you, and then Sheela will come to you afterwards.
Right. So good evening, everyone. I'm Stef, and I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. My story, I originally come from Italy, and I had an interesting childhood with, some trauma and some things happening, which led me on my own path of saying, do I want to be unhappy or do I want to be happy? So as the answer was, I want to be happy, or I choose happiness rather than want. I went on several journeys with myself, and I ended up where I am now, where I enjoy living a life connected with people who share my same ethos, and just living harmoniously with the world, with myself, and everyone around me. So that's how I would share who I am.
Thank you. And Sheela.
Hello, good evening. Yes, I'm Sheela. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us, Sara Jane. Well, I started off my sort of adult life as a healer, a naturopath, a herbalist, and then a neurodologist. So I've always kind of wanted to, inverted commas, help people. And I did that for quite a long time. And then through a midlife breakdown and trauma, I kind of came back renewed, came back in a different way, and found my spiritual side, if you like, and found that, the most important thing in life to me are people and being connected to people. As I have a very small group of very close friends, and then I have a wider group of good friends, and then I have a circle around that of good colleagues, good people. So I've surrounded myself with good people, still learning, still growing, and just love my life. I think being a healer all my life, really, I now have become a counsellor and a coach, and I do something called theta healing, which is very, very powerful. So, I still want to help people, but during that process, I think the person I've helped the most is myself. Because I actually believe that to be a good person, you've got to really do some soul searching yourself and clear the blocks that need to be cleared, and in order to know what you want to do, to feel passionate about what you want to do and embrace life. So, that's me.
Thank you so much, Sheela. Stef and Sheela have founded Beautiful Badass Women, and that is about creating connection, women connecting and supporting each other. And it's not about competition, it is about connection, it is about support. So I'll come to you first, because you two have done this together, and I'll come to you first, Sheela, this time. And because I'm sure you've both got your own sort of sides of this and your reasons and how you came together. So between you, and do you know what, if you two want to say, okay, Sheela, you want to say, Stef, you shared this bit, I'll just put whoever needs to be speaking on full screen. So Sheela, over to you.
Okay, well, Stef and I have worked together for quite a few years now. We started a podcast called Creating Happiness, which was very good, very successful. It's still jogging along in the background. But during the process of recording 2 or 3 times a week, we kind of felt we were missing a vital element of connection. It's one thing to put out a podcast and have hundreds of people or thousands of people listen to it, but that connection is missing. And we weren't aware of it so much at the time. But then we took a little break to reassess what we were doing and how we felt and whether we were happy with it all. And we got discussing how we could go deeper and more meaningful. And really, that's how Beautiful Badass Women was born. It's a long way from a podcast, but during that process, we realised that actually what we want to do is support women, connect with women, empower women or re-empower women, because I think women have always had their power, we just didn't know it, and really feel sort of build a compassionate and loving and caring business around it. So for me, I think Beautiful Badass Women, well, it's interesting that we came up with that title actually. I don't know if you can remember exactly how we describe Beautiful Badass Women. Can you remember the actual wording, Stef? I'll put you on the spot now.
You mean the wording of what?
Badass.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yes. Well, for us, a badass woman is somebody who embraces her truth, lives her life according to her rules. One of my favorite personal quotes is, "My life, my rules." I really believe that. And I believe being a badass in this world 100% means living your life your way. That doesn't mean with aggressiveness or with, with being a nasty person. That just means that you love yourself and you just act according to what you believe is right for you, which often leads to whatever you do is right for the world because you do it out of love. That's the idea.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that's really important, isn't it? It's when we are true to ourselves, we are actually putting that right energy out into the world. We're bringing that gift. We're not pouring from an empty pot. We're recharging our batteries. We can be there. But, and as somebody who came from being a people pleaser for so many years, you drain yourself. You haven't got the energy to do anything. And when you've got that courage to turn around and say, not anymore, no way, this is my life and it's for me to live the way I wish to. And I think that's what you're this is what you are doing here, is you're supporting women to say, this is my life. I choose to live it in my way. And take care of me so that I can take care of others. Which one of you'd like to take on from that?
Well, we might have to, yeah. Well, I think I'd like to say straight away that we're not anti-men. We're not against men in any shape or form. What you just said there, Sarah, is absolutely true. When we approach anything with a full pot, with a full jug of self-love, self-compassion, self-understanding, we can truly give. But if we're giving from an empty pot, it's a bit shallow. And so you're right. So by taking care of women taking care of themselves are in a very strong position to support their male partners, their husbands, their sons, their work colleagues. And we're also particularly interested in women supporting their sons, because you may know that young men's suicide rates are astronomical at the moment. So we will be, we might sort of do something around that at a later stage. But certainly if you've got a strong woman who's living her life with care and compassion and authenticity, she's going to be in a very strong position to support her immediate colleagues, male and female, of course.
Yeah. Stef?
Well, yes, absolutely. And on to think about further, how can this work? In this world, we observe that there is a huge amount of imbalance. Things are imbalanced in politics, they're imbalanced in economics, they're imbalanced wherever you look, there is imbalance. And if you think about it, how can we help the balance to return to an extent? So the female energy has a powerful balancing influence. We think about, for example, nature, how it's beautiful and powerfully balancing energy can be really looked at as an example. And we are part of nature, we're part of the universe, we're part of the wholeness of being alive and existing. And as women, we can channel that energy that really can help this balance come back. And I often like to look at it from a spiritual and an energy point of view. That is absolutely where I like to always look at that angle. And if you think about it, if the whole of the women in the world were to connect, this would have an impact on the energy of the world. So it's not only about us as individuals who can benefit from this amazing balancing, let's say, effect, but the whole of the world would benefit. Because as soon as let's say, the yin energy becomes to descend in your life, in the world around you, then everything tends to calm down. Everything tends to become less worrying, less scary in some ways, and less excessive. So it's really, in our mind, it's really about balancing the energies and how us as women can bring that nurturing and loving aspect that's part of who we are to bring balance to our world in some way. Because at the end of the day, as a young woman, I might have children. I have loads of friends with children. And many of them are worried about how our future generations going to cope, how our future generations going to live in a world that's looking like it's going downhill. So what I like to say is, well, first of all, no one says that, there is actually no one who can prove that the world is going downhill, aside from the energy that we are outputting right now. So what you can do now is to be your amazing self and to look at how can you as a woman contribute to help balance this energy for future generations.
It's about that balance of yin and yang, isn't it? We all require that balance of yin and yang, whether you're male or female. It's that balance within us, sort of that grounding to Mother Earth. But it's like a tree, isn't it? Like roots down into Mother Earth, but the branches stretched up to create us. Great mystery, sort of depending on the terminology you prefer to use. And you draw that energy of the feminine and the masculine energy, and where we can hold that in balance within our own hearts. Because for me, I see our heart as our connection to our soul, which is our connection to all that is. So it's about encouraging the mind, the ego, to listen to the heart, to work with the heart, which is the connection to our soul for each and every one of us. And it's that connection to ourself, our higher self, and to the all that is the important thing, which I suppose very much comes into the spirituality of it. So we should come to you first, Stef, this time.
Yeah, I think both Sheela and I come from we see spirituality as a huge part of our lives. And note, we don't mean religion by spirituality. I'm sure, we're all on the same page, but just for clarity. But yeah, so it's this element of connection is very much linked to our spiritual self, to our true self, to our soul. thinking about when, let's say, many moons ago, when women were perhaps had more of a leading position in their villages, or even, when we had time to rest and to just be and to take time to chat and connect with each other, they would sit around the fireplace and talk. We have forgotten the power of talking, and it's absolutely incredible how our society is based on the idea that we exist as just singular individuals. When you think about it, my mug was made by someone. I certainly cannot craft my own mugs on my own. Everything around me is based on other people. Everything I own is produced by someone else, and yet we just think, I have my own car, driving around. That's my own bubble. But actually, the idea of BBW is thinking about who are you as women and as human beings, and what is it that actually makes us tick, makes us work and thrive. Connection is 100% part of that thriving element, because there's a huge difference between living and existing and just going about your life, and thriving. And thriving, we believe, comes from connection. Connection is a huge part of it, whether we like it or not.
Sheela.
Yeah, well, while Steph was talking, I was just thinking about something you said earlier about, sort of re-empowering women, and thinking about you mentioned, Sarah, that you were a people pleaser, and I think I certainly have been, and I think there are many women who were brought up to be people pleasers. That's all that sort of learned behavior from childhood. And I know you and I, Sarah, we've done a lot of inner child work. So, but I think that's, again, what BBW wants to support women in finding themselves again, and finding that power within them to gently say, no, thank you, with a nice big smile, no, thank you, and use the stop sign. Because if we can't connect with who we really are, then the whole chain of connection breaks. We can't connect with ourselves, we can't connect with our friends, our family, our parents, our children, and so on. So it does all really start with us, connecting with ourselves, being true to ourselves, and finding our joy and our compassion and our love and our just delight in being alive. This is a wonderful life, or at least let's make it wonderful. We always have choices, you see, and I think that women tend to have been brought up that they don't have choice. They have to get up, do the dishes, sort the children out, go to work, come home, do the washing, cook dinner, and life becomes a chore. But when you are brave enough and courageous enough to actually ask your heart, do I really want to do this? Am I really happy doing this? And I'm not suggesting that everybody ups and leaves. What I am suggesting is that we ask ourselves, how can we choose a better way? How can we choose love and compassion to ourselves first? And then it spreads over. Somebody once told me that love is like a jug. If you imagine a jug that's full of water, absolutely full, one more drop in the jug and it starts to spill. And that's how I believe love works, unconditional love. If your jug is full, you don't have to consciously love anyone. It just happens. It just oozes from you because you've filled your own jug.
Yeah. And thinking about, some people have struggle with that word love, especially if there's been trauma around feeling unwanted, unloved, not good enough. But what we do is we care. And so if you're struggling with the word love, think about how much you care about others. You will say things to support them. You will do things to support them. And even if that's a no can be one of the best things you can hear. It really can. It's encouraging you to do things for yourself. But what is care? It's just another word for love. But if it helps people to think about love as being something to do with relationships and sex and goodness knows what else, love is so much bigger. And so it's being able to sit comfortably with the word. And if you can't sit comfortably with the word love, then think about caring, thought, consideration, all those words that are just another word for love, that help to bring the connection of yourself to others. But first and foremost, as we've said, I think it's got to be that connection of yourself to yourself. So this group is very much about the support that we bring to each other. Because yes, folks, I'm a member.
Yay! We love having you, Sarah.
Thank you. So this group is about supporting. It is about sort of being there for others and creating space for others and sharing our experiences, our gifts, our knowledge with each other, in a way that some people would say, oh, you can't do that. Why would you give your secrets away? It's not a secret. Too many people already know it. It's just, and thinking about a conversation I had, I think it was at the end of last week, it was just like, I was saying things to this individual, and it was just like, I know that, I'm telling other people that, but that person was not taking their own advice. So if we can help people to actually take what they already know within their, not just within their hearts, but within their heads, because it's our heads that we've got the problems with.
I think this is one of our core ethos actually at BBW, thinking about sharing, truly sharing. We are creating a library of knowledge and information that comes from the members. And that library will be for members, but also for those who are not members, because we believe in sharing, and therefore we will share. But the idea is that rather than seeing other people's knowledge as a threat, it becomes an enriching experience. It becomes something that you can use for yourself, because most of us in the group are therapists, doing whatever we do. And first of all, as a healer, as a coach, sometimes it's isolating because you're on your own and you're always working with clients. You don't have any way to speak to anyone else. For example, I might get a very difficult client. Who do I speak to about it? It's not like I can ring up my supervisor and say, hey, can I have a chat? It's me on my own in the room. So this knowledge is not just about the physical, technical knowledge of, how to do a healing session, how to become a better channeler, how to do whatever it is that you're doing. It's also about support in your work. So for example, somebody working as a tarot reader might be interested in speaking to another tarot reader on how to better their skill, or how to manage a client in the middle of a session if they're having a breakdown, for example. So it's also very practical. It's not just about the being together, which is amazing. There's also a very practical element to it. Sharing your knowledge, giving support in moments of doubt or in moments of need, and also remembering that the knowledge that you're sharing is not something that you are parting with. You're actually creating a bigger, a more amazing world around you, and you're probably going to be enriched by the giving rather than be stripped of something that is not yours anyway, because we are all connected to the same oneness. So it's not like I own this piece of information, at least that's what I believe. So yeah
Sheela.
Oh, I totally agree with what Steph's just said. I actually believe that knowledge is nothing unless you share it. There is no point in having a wealth of knowledge in your head and nobody else knows about it. So I've always been about connecting people together through, whether it's on a personal basis or through a knowledge basis. Yeah, knowledge is useless if it's not shared. Just think about it. There would be no books, no textbooks, no how-to programs. Knowledge has to be shared, otherwise it's useless.
And I think it's being aware that as therapists, but it doesn't really sort of matter what it is that we're doing, we are not right for everybody, or that individual has run their course with what we can support them with. By being able to say, have you tried this? Have you thought about this? Whatever. By sharing it forward. And it's not a matter of, oh, no, I've got to keep this person to myself. They're my client. It's just like, this is about them. This is about your client. This isn't about you. And I know we were talking sort of before that none of us are looking for fame. We do this because we feel it's really important to share. And if people never remember who I am, I don't mind. Because this is about, if you have accepted something that we've said here and it has resonated with you, that's the important thing. I am going to put up the website for Beautiful Badass Women. Please go and take a look at it. I'll do that in a second when I stop talking, which I will. But it's really important that we are not, and I remember standing in an event that I'd organized and thinking, how many lives can I touch? And it was before the internet was the way it is today. If I support others to get out there, how many more lives can we touch? That's what it's all about. It's how many lives can we touch so that we can support people to become their best possible self. And that energy, it's that thing, isn't it? That film where it's paid forward. That energy is paid forward. It will be paid back to us. We just never know how, when it's going to be paid back. It doesn't matter. I don't do it for what I'm going to get paid back. I do this because I feel it's really important to do it. So, Sheela.
Well, you know, while you were talking, I was thinking, and which is a very bad practice because I should have been listening intently. And I've forgotten my thread now. Oh yes, so just sort of going back to connection, and you mentioned the internet just then, and something that we have talked about quite a lot. I mean, obviously Stef is a whole generation or 2 or 3 generations younger than I am, so I do clearly remember the days before even the internet, never mind social media and Instagram and TikTok and whatever else is out there. But it's becoming very obvious to mainstream people that social media, although it's supposed to connect us, it actually has the opposite effect. It isolates us, because we are only concerned with how many likes we have or how many shares we get. It's not real. So this was another reason that Beautiful Badass Women was born, because we wanted to have real person-to-person connections, and really to go opposite to you know, the idea of just being online and on social media, because I personally think it's very isolating. I speak to a lot of clients who, much younger, of course, than I am, who really, really rely on Facebook friends or Instagram friends, and they kind of believe that they're real friends. Now, there is a sort of connection, I guess. It's perhaps, you could argue, it's better than being completely alone, but it's not better than actually having the physical person or physical people in a small group of caring and compassionate and supportive people around you. There is no substitute for that. I think Steph could probably say a little bit more about social media than I can, because, you know, I don't use it if I can help it.
Well, I would say that absolutely it's very isolating, because you have to always ask yourself, what's the purpose, and where does this phenomenon come from? Where does social media like Facebook, where does it come from? What's his intention? What's the intention of the people who created it as well? So I think there are some other social media platforms that are not like that. For example, LinkedIn is a totally different story, so I'm not going to even talk about it. But a lot of the social media platforms that have the intention of connecting people in a way of creating friendships and displaying your life on social media, which is a whole difference, you know, I'm not even going to go there, don't actually have an intention of connecting you. If you think about it, why would the algorithm, for example, choose to hide some content? You know, and then it's interesting how the person then thinks it's their fault and it's because they're not liked, where it's not actually like that. It's the algorithm that has not picked your content, you know, if you look at it. So I think it's really useful. I always like to say, let's go back to the basics of being a human being and what makes it work for us, you know. It's really, really, really simple. We like to overcomplicate things, you know. We like to think about, you know, how can I go to space, when we can really just ask ourselves, hang on a second, what is it that makes me feel good as a human? And it always does come down to connection, you know. Having a really good friend, oh my God, it's like having the best hug, you know. Having a conversation with somebody you love, I don't know if I can think of anything better, you know. And that it also means with yourself, you know. You cannot love anyone else unless you love yourself. We all know that. It's something that, you know, we hear said. However, connection helps us to love ourselves and the world, because if you're just, imagine if it was just you on the earth, you can love yourself, but what's next? Where, you know, it's the conversation can go on and on, you know, who are we as human beings, and all of that. But always going back to the basics, we thrive on connection, even from a genetic standpoint.
Yeah. And personal connection, in-person connection. You know, I can work with people via the internet. It has its place. It's how we use it. And it's about using of it, not letting it control us. And I think that's the really important thing. We could not be doing this program without the internet. I would have said LinkedIn has been the best place for me to connect with people. The number of my guests that I've met through LinkedIn, suddenly it's being the opposite way around. It's actually Facebook. I'm connecting with a load of people suddenly, and it is what it is. It's sort of, and having conversations with people, and so we can use the technology that exists today. It's not letting it. I don't worry about the likes. I never look at those type of things. You know, people say to me, "Oh, how many people do you get watching your programs?" I don't know. I don't look, because that's not what it's about. If you enjoy this program, it's going to be on YouTube. It will be posted on the Gift of Healing TV website. It can be found. And that's the important thing with technology, is how it helps us to get things out there, so that we're using it rather than it controlling our lives. And that is the difference of saying, I look at people in restaurants or whatever, they're there on their blooming mobile phone. What are you doing having a meal with somebody and you're on that? Yeah, sorry, I don't have one. I don't do them. Because I just can't. But so as you were saying, technology can drive us apart, but it can be used to pull us together. And so it's, how are you using it and how is it controlling you? I think that's the way to think about technology, because at the end of the day, Beautiful Badass Women has got a website. That is how we're encouraging people to connect with you to start with. You do your lovely little summits that are all via the internet. We can do this, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, where you are in this country, where you are in this world, because it is about the connection, creating that net slowly around the world that brings a greater connection. And so we can be, it's why I love using technology. I don't like it for some things, but I use it. I use what I need to. And it's using it for the benefit of us all. I think that's the way to sort of look at it. So those Stef, that you do more of it than Sheela, but I don't know. But share more about Beautiful Badass Women. I just think I like playing devil's advocate at times. There's good and bad of everything. It's how we use it.
I think you're completely right. And we have, the idea for us is to have satellite groups in every country. So we are starting out one in Germany quite soon, in Italy. We have a lady in California, and the idea is that these people have their own, let's say, group that they meet. They meet with other women locally, but of course, then there is the wider net that's BBW, where we meet online. We provide resources, and we are almost like the mothership, let's say, where information can be found. Because really, thinking about my own story and my own, I am very, very, very passionate about women, supporting women who come from an abusive situation in their life, whatever that is. Women who might not have the financial means, for example, to afford a lawyer. It happened a few times in my life that I've helped women with a specific problem where a legal support was required. And it was amazing to see how other women offered their services for free to help them. So I absolutely see that BBW will be a place where women who want to help other women practically can come. Because a lot of the time when women come from a disadvantaged background or from an abusive situation, it's not safe to go ask for help sometimes, very often, and they might not know where to actually find that help, and how to access it, because they'll be, they'll think, I don't have any money to pay for this, so offering that service and giving women who need help support for free is something that I really want to do in my life. So that's something that definitely BBW will be doing. In fact, we're already working with a charity called Share Tanzania that rescues homeless children in Tanzania. And, we are already from the start about giving back and about how can we, it's just Sheela and I, with all the amazing ladies who've joined us so far. But as we become bigger and stronger, of course, we're going to have more impact. And it'll be about the connection for us. But for me, doing something for the world is absolutely key. And that's what's going to be happening.
Brilliant. Sheela.
Yes, and the other thing that we're really passionate about is having fun. Together, singly, in groups. So next February, we're planning a trip of a lifetime to visit Thailand, to volunteer for a week at an elephant sanctuary, caring for beautiful, majestic, sentient elephants that have been abused and have been rescued. It's just the most life-changing experience. So we're going to take a group of BBW ladies to Thailand. But it's also, we often go and have a lunch together or a brunch together, or we've got summer coming up here in the UK. We'll be having the odd beach party. So yeah, we believe all aspects of support and caring for each other. Absolutely. Because that's what life's about, is in enjoying yourself, having some fun, having some downtime. It's not all about work and all the altruistic things that we will be doing, but just relax and connect with each other. And interesting, just going back to that connection word, people, whether it's men or women, but women possibly more so, because we do tend to talk more than men, don't we? Just a little bit. There's a very good reason for that, but I won't go into that. But if you have 3 or more really good friends in your life, you'll live longer, you'll have less heart problems, you're less likely to be diabetic, you're less likely to, you just thrive from a mental health point of view. I'd also like to pick up on something that Stef said earlier. Yes, we used to sit around a campfire and tell stories. Women have always shared their experience with other women. Think about women who are about to give birth. They automatically attract other women to them. It's natural in us to want to support each other. What's happened over the last 20, 30, 50 years, I guess, is that for lots of different economic and political reasons, that wedge has become a little bit pushed in. And like we said earlier, the imbalance, there's an imbalance there. All we're trying to do is to recreate that balance where women have got their own power in terms of their experience, their knowledge, and their inbuilt desire to share and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just about that connection and that support and being there for each other. We are coming close to the end of the program, so before we do close, I'm going to come to each of you. Is there anything that we haven't touched on, and I'm assuming there's actually quite a lot, but that you feel is really important to share sort of here now? So Stef, shall I come to you first and then we'll come to Sheela?
I think we've covered we've covered a lot of what BBW is about, the importance of connection, but I would say absolutely take the time to consider what kind of connection you've got in your life, and if connection is something that you're looking to better. This is something that definitely would be part of joining us or looking at our work, being connected to our work, but also as an inspiration of how can you connect your life more, thinking about, is my life connected? Am I connected enough with myself and with those around me? Do I like the connection? Are the right connections in place? I think it's a good start to empower ourselves to be happier.
Thank you, Stef. Sheela?
Well, I'd like to just mention Beautiful Badass Sisters, because we have a section within the organisation which is called Badass Sisters, and these are high-profile women who have excelled in their own way in various situations. And if you've enjoyed watching this program and you have a lady who you look up to and you respect and you admire, who's done really good things with her life, let us know, because maybe we could invite her to be a beautiful badass sister. One of our beautiful badass sisters is a local lady who's just about 90. She's lived a long and beautiful life, and we're really honoured to have her as a badass sister indeed. I do believe that older women have, we're the crones, aren't we? We're the wise women of our community. And I personally feel that we need to honour and respect our elders, especially our elder women, who traditionally have always been the leaders of our tribes. Back in tribal times, they were always the medicine women and the leaders, spiritual leaders. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Sheela and Stef. thank you so much for joining us. Folks, please do check out the website. I've put it into the chat there, and I will make sure it is under the video on YouTube as well. Do take a look, do connect with them. Sort of what we can do to help each other is the important thing, what we can do to support each other. And yes, the elder wisdom is really sort of important for us to start listening to. In fact, I've started talking to my mother and sort of saying and getting her to share information from her childhood, because otherwise we're going to lose that. And then maybe think, I can't go to my grandparents, they're long gone. But if you've got parents, grandparents, you can go and talk to. And I think actually we're more likely as youngsters to go to our grandparents. So, please find out their stories from there. It will support us all today. Just because life has moved on and technology is as it is, how situations and experiences have made people feel, the feelings are still going to be the same. We've talked about sort of traumatic experiences. It's the feelings, it's how they leave us feeling, and there is support for all of us out there. And we can all we can all vouch for that. So sort of thank you, ladies, so very much for sharing with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Just to let you know, next week we have a Today's Conversation, myself and my two co-hosts, joined by Frank Byram, and we're going to be doing daily practice, the mindful pathway to self-healing. Self-healing is what it's all about, as far as I'm concerned. Support, but I hope you'll join us for that. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Sheela. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Light, peace, and love to you all. Namaste. Bye.